Coming up at 11, Somerset Mayor and Republican candidate for governor Alan Keck hosted a town hall meeting tonight in Williamsburg.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Olivia Calfee. We are continuing to keep an eye on the possibility for wintry weather tonight, and that includes the threat for snow, sleet, and freezing rain. Meteorologist Evan Hatter has the latest on our first alert weather day. Evan?
And Olivia, I just checked out the back door here at WYMT in Hazard. We are seeing all of the above as we've already seen a wintry mix continue to move through the region. Let's hop back. Let's show you the map. Everybody now under a winter weather advisory tonight. This runs until, actually, it says 6 o'clock. That's for some of the folks out west. This runs until 10 o'clock for us tonight, or for us tomorrow morning out there. And you see we've added Rowan, Elliott, Menifee, Morgan, Powell, and Wolfe County as they were added about an hour and a half ago. Downtown Hazard, we are seeing the sleet and freezing rain right at freezing with the drops of rain on the camera lens out front of WYMT, where I can confirm we're seeing sleet and freezing rain. 32 the current reading. It's just wet on the driveway, but things are getting a little dicey on the car windshields out there. And there's the view from Somerset where they sit at 30. And luckily at this point nobody is on the roads. Don't get out on the roads if you don't have to until much later on tomorrow when we're above freezing. Most of us in the low 30s. A few mid-30s out there where things are still as rain, but here's the current view from Pinpoint Doppler. A wintry mess, mix and sleet across the Big Sandy. A little bit of snow as you head up toward Charleston, West Virginia. A little bit of snow into parts of Jackson County into Owsley County right now. Everybody else, though, seeing sleet and freezing rain. Further back off to the south and west, a little bit of a dry slot in eastern parts of Pulaski County. Everybody else seeing sleet or snow and all rain to freezing rain in far southeast Kentucky with a few of our higher elevations seeing the potential for freezing rain. We're not done with this just yet. Look out to the west. We've still got a little bit to go before this is all said and done. Olivia, I'll have the very latest on where it is and where it's headed in a few minutes.
Thank you, Evan. On Tuesday, Somerset Mayor Alan Keck held a town hall meeting at the Tourism and Convention Center in Williamsburg. WYMT's Keaton Hall has more on how the candidate looks to break out from the pack.
Republican candidate for governor Alan Keck is hoping to separate himself from the crowded Republican field by sticking to his game plan, the most important piece of which he says is family.
I think a strong family is going to have the work ethic that built this country. And, you know, we've got a workforce crisis now, and so much of that's because we're not being taught at home.
Keck held a town hall meeting in Williamsburg on Tuesday, sharing his plan and listening to audience questions and feedback.
I'm just a change agent that's willing to get things done, and if I think something's a good idea, I don't really care whose it is. You know, on our team, we talk about no pride in ownership, and by that I mean, regardless of whose idea it is, if it's effective, let's do it.
Keck says he doesn't want Eastern Kentucky to be left behind, praising its natural beauty and resilience.
There are some that want to stay and rebuild, and gosh, I love that. I'm proud to be from East Kentucky. I think we're a special people with grit and determination, but we've got to celebrate our natural assets, right?
Natural assets, including coal.
We are blessed with immense natural resources, not just beauty, coal, natural gas, a little bit of oil, and we've proven that we can, get it out of the ground effectively, and I think, the federal government has penalized that.
Keck is hoping to build more steam before the primary election on May 16th. In Williamsburg, Keaton Hall, WYMT Mountain News.
The Williamsburg Tourism and Convention Center will also be hosting Kelly Craft for a similar event this Friday. Williamsburg Mayor Roddy Harrison says all gubernatorial candidates are welcome in his city. KYTC officials and first responders are reminding folks to stay safe on the roads this evening and through the morning hours. Officials say to keep 6 to 8 car lengths in front of other drivers to give more room for stops. They also say to drive slow and give yourself more time for your morning commute. Also, always have a cold weather kit for emergencies in case you are stranded in your car for an extended period of time.
I'm talking like jumper cables, warm blankets, some non-perishable food items, different things like that. Keep that in your car just in case in instances where you might break down or you might get stuck for a while.
KYTC District 12 PIO Shantana Woodward says that plows will be on the road overnight and throughout the morning and to give them plenty of space as well. More than 6 months have passed since the deadly eastern Kentucky floods, and while the water has gone down, some people are still trapped in their homes. An apartment complex in Breathitt County hasn't had a working elevator since the flood, leaving the elderly tenants practically stuck on upper floors without an easy way to get down. Chad Hedrick explains the building owners say they're facing red tape and tenants are frustrated.
Kathy Albert's elevator is quite literally pushing her buttons.
I'm pretty well trapped up here.
Her ticket to the first floor of Federal Place Apartments in Breathitt County washed out by last July's floods and still not fixed.
And it's just totally aggravating. I can't mail my mail, and I do a lot of birthday cards and all this.
Kathy and her elderly neighbors depend on their elevator. She uses this walker to get around, so unless her son comes to help her get down these steps, she's stuck.
I'm used to being by myself because I've been that way since 2006, so I do stay busy, but I would like to have a human voice every now and then, you know.
Kathy keeps a good sense of humor, but there are times she gets frustrated, feeling like she and her neighbors are forgotten.
At first, it was a little bit of adventure, you know, but then he got to the point where it was aggravating, then totally frustrated, and now I am angry. I mean, we deserve better than this.
AU Associates based in Lexington manages the building. They tell WKYT that red tape brought the process to a halt when FEMA denied half their claim, including the elevator. While appealing the decision, management has been able to secure state funding to cover the remaining costs. However, notices, comment periods, and other steps must be followed first.
People need to realize these are families, these are lives. They're totally thrown into chaos. And it seems like the government, like I say, they don't have compassion and empathy.
Kathy realizes she is one of the lucky ones because she still has a place to call home. But she's sad to know there are families facing the same struggles to rebuild their lives.
FEMA, whoever needs to, cut the red tape and get people their money now. I mean, their lives have been through, I mean, I can't imagine losing everything. I don't think I could recover from it. I really don't.
In Breathitt County, Chad Hedrick, WKYT.
A detailed letter will be going out to tenants at Federal Place Apartments tomorrow, explaining what has happened with FEMA and why it is taking so long. An eastern Kentucky woman swept away in July's devastating flooding has been declared dead. Our media partners at the Herald Leader report that Breathitt County District Judge Gary Salyers ruled yesterday that Vanessa Baker is dead after going missing from the Lost Creek community. In Kentucky, a judge can rule someone legally dead if that person went missing after a catastrophic event and a diligent search or inquiry has been made. Crews have been searching for Baker as recent as January 7th. Before Kentucky State Police officials are out assessing an emergency, many of those calls will come through a telecommunications centers like the one at KSP Post 13 in Hazard. To continue this work, 14 KSP Telecommunications Academy graduates will be joining 8 different KSP posts from across the Commonwealth. These telecommunicators have received more than 160 hours of training on various subjects.
You gotta have thick skin. You gotta have real thick skin. Not every caller is gonna be nice to you. There's some you really gotta rip the information out of them, and it's not always easy. It's just asking them one question, there's the answer. It's always question after question after question to get one answer. It takes a lot more than people think.
KSP Post 13 telecommunications manager Chris Hayes says there are a lot of calls that will stay with you for the rest of your life. So it is important that KSP is very selective as to who they have handling these situations. The COVID-19 public health emergency has an end date. That's according to the president, who says the emergency will end May 11th. That means a lot of things that have been free to the public will soon carry a cost. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to health leaders in Southern Kentucky about what the emergency ending will mean for them and possibly for you.
It has been almost 3 years since the world most of us knew was turned upside down. COVID is still out there, and public health leaders say that it's not going away. But the president says the emergency situation is coming to a close.
I'm very happy to hear the public health emergency is ending. It will mean things like funding is ending and different things like that. It'll cause some problems. But to me, that's a public declaration that we're moving past this.
Health departments received tremendous amounts of funding during the pandemic, and most tests and vaccines were free to everyone. No public emergency means no emergency funds and costs passed on to patients.
It's going to be a burden, truly, for some people who either don't have insurance or are underinsured.
A vaccine will likely cost you about $50 to $75. Health leaders say even if you've never been vaccinated, take advantage of the free service now.
That's true, absolutely. It's never too late to get vaccinated. COVID is still readily in our communities. We see it daily, cases reported daily. People are still dying from it.
According to the latest transmission map, most of Kentucky is in the low to medium levels of community spread, with extreme southeastern Kentucky in the red.
Get a hold of the free tests. There are still free tests available. At the health departments, you can call and request those.
But that will end in May, and getting a COVID shot will be similar to a flu shot.
I think insurance most of the time pays for flu vaccines every year. It's covered, so I think that's how this will probably go, but you still have to have insurance.
Health leaders say had not the federal government paid for most of the pandemic, they're not sure how they would have functioned. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Health leaders say COVID will still cause problems for some in the community, especially for those that are immunocompromised. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, nursing staff became more than just healthcare providers to a man in Floyd County after his house caught fire.
And we're keeping it wintry as we head through tonight, the very latest. Coming up after this.
Biscuits and gravy.